The UFC's highly anticipated return to Miami, Florida, is finally upon us. In this two-part episode, we will break down the card and give you some analysis for fight predictions. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss part 2 when it goes out. Opening the card, you'll see fights with high stakes for the winner, and an unfortunate demise for the loser. We kick off with a flyweight bout featuring Joanne Wood and Marina Moros. While not an outstanding fight, it is surely an easy one to predict. With Joanne Wood getting up there in age and Moros finally growing into her own, we are sure to see a win from the Ukrainian if she goes out calculated. She fought well against recent title challenger Mara Binu Silva, so that's hopeful, but the main thing in this fight is the grappling, the age gap and game plan. If she can try to imitate what Grasso did, we see it being an easy night for her. We'll go with Moros by 29-28 win. And now we look at the men's flyweight division, featuring newcomer to the UFC Asu Almabayev against veteran CJ Vergara. I think the main difference here is obviously the stature of Asu. While Vergara hasn't really looked that impressive, Asu on the other hand is a genetic freak with underrated traits. Obviously, he lacks the UFC experience that Vergara has, but we think this is his moment to really break into the division. It's a close one to call, but with decent striking and good ground ability, we have to take Asu on this one. Let's go with 30-27 Asu or late stoppage in the second round. The featured heavyweight bout is the newcomer in Robelis Despain, who is taking on Josh Persian. This fight is not even close and is sure to end in a big finish. Despain has a clear athletic advantage at 6'7", 265. When the UFC saw this beast, you know they had to sign him right away. And this being his UFC debut doesn't seem like a huge challenge. This guy is in true heavyweight form, and that is surely gonna factor in on fight night. Persian should be fighting at light heavyweight, and I think we will see why on Saturday. Persian will be knocked out in the first round, either by flying knee, spinning kick, or counter right hand. That one is definitely one to watch out for. Let's skip ahead now to the prelim card, starting with Munoz versus Phillips. At first, this one seemed like a close fight, but after further study, we have to side with Munoz. He is just a more developed martial artist at this point and has a clear advantage if it stays on the feet. We saw how Pedro was able to play the pitter-patter game with Sean O'Malley. He did well, and it was only a questionable eye poke that could stop him that night. And for Phillips, this is not a great visual against Paiva, who he also couldn't finish. I think it's safe to say Pedro can bag this if he fights smart and shuts down Phillips early. We'll go with 29-28 in favor of Munoz. Now we enter the lightweight division, where former champion Rafael dos Anjos will be taking on prospect Mateus Gamrot. This one has high stakes on it, especially for dos Anjos, getting this opportunity at his age. But ultimately, we think the age will be a problem in this fight. While Gamrot has shown improvement everywhere, I think dos Anjos has truly declined. He even made Moicano look pretty good on 4 days' notice. It just isn't convincing going back and watching his latest performances. And while he still has that dog in him, I think Gamrot has improved too much and will eventually find a route to victory. With the improvements made in his striking mechanics, it makes him that much more dangerous in this fight, and allows him to be more versatile in his attack. Our official prediction will be Gamrot 29-28, winning the first 2 rounds, or taking the fire to dos Anjos, and finishing him on the ground early. Here's another easy one. 25-year-old Maycee Barber takes on Caitlin Chookagian at flyweight. Honestly, not much hype is behind this fight if you're a hardcore fan. But we will highlight that Barber was 20 years old coming into the UFC, and she is far better than Chookagian. Even with all her experience, Maycee might be the lock of the card, and we'll pick her by second or third round TKO. And now onto the final prelim of the night, a grappler showdown between Jailton Almeida and Curtis Blades. This is a big test for Almeida, but we have a lot of confidence in him to get this done, with his finishing ability being such a strong point. It's hard to see Curtis finding major success, and even if they cancel each other's ground game out, we still think he can win on the feet. He just seems to be a new level of heavyweight, and continues to improve. Who knows, Blades could catch him coming in, but it seems like Almeida has a speed and agility advantage. We think Almeida will find success with his boxing and try to get takedowns against the fence. Once he does that, he can look to take Blades back or lock up an arm triangle. Submission, arm triangle, round 2. There's our official prelim predictions for UFC 299. Look out for part 2 coming out shortly.